when a security guard pulls his service weapon during a live television taping and aims it at Chuck Norris, the most dangerous question isn't whether Chuck can disarm him, it's whether Bruce Lee can stop Chuck from trying. 18 seconds, 200 witnesses, one gun, and Johnny Carson learning that the scariest moment in 30 years of television doesn't happen in front of the camera, it happens because of it. Los Angeles, NBC Studios Burbank, February 9th, 1973, Friday evening, 6:45. The Tonight Show with Johnny Carson tapes at 7. 200 audience members fill the bleachers. Stage crew runs final checks. The familiar set glows under studio lights. Johnny's desk, the guest couch, the band area. Everything looks exactly like it does every weeknight when millions watch from home. Except tonight, something is about to go wrong in a way NBC will never broadcast. Tonight's guests are Bruce Lee and Chuck Norris. They're here to demonstrate martial arts, promote Bruce's upcoming film Enter the Dragon, break some boards, standard late-night television. Bruce is backstage wearing black pants. Chuck is in a leather jacket over a blue shirt. They're relaxed, professional. They've done television before. The security detail includes a new guard. Dennis Walsh, 6'1", 220 pounds, former LAPD, 3 months into private security work. He takes his job seriously, too seriously. He's been briefed that tonight's guests will demonstrate with props, fake weapons, controlled demonstrations, safe for television, but Dennis doesn't trust props. His training says threat assessment first, questions second. 7 o'clock, the show begins. Johnny's monologue lands. Commercial break. Then Carson introduces Bruce Lee and Chuck Norris. The audience applauds. These are legitimate legends. Chuck Norris is the undefeated karate champion. Bruce Lee is becoming a cultural phenomenon. They walk out, shake Johnny's hand, sit on the couch. The conversation starts light. Where are you from? How did you start training? What's this new movie about? Bruce is charismatic, articulate. Chuck is more reserved but confident. The chemistry works. After 8 minutes, Carson says, "Let's see what you can do." Drop a comment if you've ever watched something go from normal to dangerous in seconds. Bruce and Chuck stand. Stage crew brings out demonstration props, breaking boards, a wooden staff, nunchaku, standard equipment. Everything rehearsed, everything approved, everything safe. Bruce picks up the nunchaku, explains what they are, spins them slowly. The audience watches. Carson leans forward with interest. Dennis Walsh watches from stage right near camera 2. He sees Bruce holding nunchaku, sees them spinning near Johnny Carson's head. His hand moves to his hip, to his service weapon, Colt .38 Special. He doesn't draw yet, just touches it, confirming it's there. Bruce hands the nunchaku to Chuck. Chuck demonstrates a faster pattern. The audience reacts appreciatively. These are professionals. The control is obvious. The skill impressive. Carson is smiling. Everything is going exactly as planned. Then Chuck sets down the nunchaku and picks up the wooden staff. 6 feet long, hardwood, heavy. Dennis sees Chuck holding a 6-foot wooden weapon, moving it near the host, near the guests, near expensive cameras. His threat assessment escalates. This isn't spinning wood anymore. This is a club. His hand closes around his pistol grip. He doesn't draw, not yet, but he's ready. Chuck swings the staff. Controlled arc, demonstrating reach. The whoosh of wood cutting air fills the studio. The audience gasps appreciatively. Bruce steps in, takes the staff, shows a different technique. Faster, more circular. The staff becomes a blur. The audience applauds. Carson laughs with delight. Great television. But from Dennis Walsh's position, what he sees is 2 men with weapons moving unpredictably near the host of The Tonight Show, near 200 audience members, near millions of dollars of broadcast equipment. His training says intervene. He makes a decision. He draws his weapon. The movement is smooth, professional. The Colt .38 comes out of his holster. He holds it low, not aimed yet, but out. He steps forward toward the demonstration area. His voice cuts through the studio, loud, authoritative. "Drop the weapon. Now, drop it." The studio goes silent, not the silence of waiting for a punchline, the silence of shock. The band stops playing. The cameras keep rolling, but operators freeze. Johnny Carson's smile vanishes. His face goes blank, completely frozen, paralyzed by confusion. His brain can't process what's happening. Chuck Norris turns, sees the guard, sees the gun pointed at him. His body doesn't move, his face doesn't change, but everyone who knows Chuck recognizes what just happened. He just went from demonstration mode to combat mode. Distance to the guard, 7 feet. Gun held low, not cocked. Finger on trigger, guard not trigger. Chuck's hands still hold the staff. 6 feet of reach. He could close the distance in 2 steps, disarm in 1 motion. But there are 200 people behind him, cameras recording. Johnny Carson 3 feet away. This isn't a street. Subscribe, because what happens in the next 18 seconds will show you what de-escalation looks like when every second counts. Bruce sees everything. Sees the guard, the gun, Chuck calculating. Sees the danger that isn't the gun. The danger is Chuck Norris deciding to act. Bruce moves, not away, toward. He steps between Chuck and the guard. His hands come up, open, visible, non-threatening. His voice is calm, quiet, but it carries. There's no threat here. We're demonstrating martial arts. The weapons are props for the show. Dennis keeps the gun pointed. His voice shakes slightly, but stays firm. "I said drop it. I will not repeat myself." His finger moves from trigger guard to trigger, not applying pressure, just resting, ready. Front row, a woman in a plaid shirt covers her mouth. Third row, an elderly man grips his wife's hand. Bruce doesn't look at the gun, looks at Dennis, makes eye contact, holds it. His voice stays calm, slower now, each word deliberate. "I'm going to take the staff from my friend's hands, slowly. Then I'm going to place it on the floor. There is no danger, no threat, just a misunderstanding. Everyone here is safe. You are safe. Let me show you." Chuck understands. Doesn't move. Doesn't speak. Lets Bruce work. Bruce reaches over. Movement slow, visible, deliberate. Dennis's gun tracks the movement. Bruce's hand touches the staff, wraps around it, gently takes it from Chuck's grip. Chuck releases it. Bruce lifts the staff horizontally, shows Dennis both ends. Solid wood, no modifications. This is oak. 6 feet, used in demonstrations. Not a weapon right now, just a prop for television. I'm placing it down. Bruce lowers himself, knee bends, controlled descent, places the staff on the studio floor gently. The wood touches carpet with a soft sound. Bruce stays low, hands visible, palms empty. The staff is down, no weapons in anyone's hands. Everyone is safe. Dennis watches. His training fights his observation. Training says maintain weapon control. Observation says there was never a threat, just a demonstration, just television. He looks at Johnny Carson. Carson's face isn't fear, it's confusion, shock. Dennis looks at the audience. 200 faces watching him. Not scared of Bruce Lee or Chuck Norris, scared of him, scared of his gun. Bruce speaks again, still calm. "You did your job. You saw something you thought was dangerous. You responded. That's professional, but now you can see there's no danger. These are props. This is rehearsed. Everything is controlled. You can lower your weapon now. You can holster it. Everyone will understand. You were protecting people. That's good. But we're safe now." 18 seconds since Dennis drew his weapon. The director in the booth hasn't cut to commercial, hasn't stopped cameras, just watching, trying to understand if this is real. Dennis's hand trembles slightly. Recognition. Understanding. He was wrong, misread the situation, drew his weapon on television, on guests, on legends. But Bruce is giving him an exit, giving him dignity, not making him the villain. Dennis lowers the gun slowly, points it down, floor safe direction. His finger comes off the trigger, returns to trigger guard. He takes a breath, holsters the weapon. Click. Bruce stands slowly, hands still visible. Thank you. That took courage. Admitting a mistake, that's strength. He turns to Chuck. Chuck hasn't moved, hasn't spoken, eyes on Dennis the entire time. Ready but controlled. Bruce nods. Stand down. Chuck's shoulders drop, tension releases. Johnny Carson unfreezes. His voice cracks. Well, that was, let's take a commercial break. The red camera lights go off. Commercial. The studio audience sits in stunned silence. Nobody moves. They just witnessed something that shouldn't happen. Dennis turns, walks off stage quickly, head down. The stage manager intercepts him, whispers urgently. The producer appears. More whispers. Dennis nods, explains, apologizes. The producer's face is pale. Legal liability. The cameras were rolling. Everything is recorded. Bruce walks to Johnny's desk, sits on the edge. Johnny, are you okay? Carson looks at him. Bruce, what just happened? Bruce's voice is gentle. A security guard saw something he didn't understand, responded how he was trained, made a mistake. We corrected it. Nobody is hurt. Everything is okay. Chuck walks over, sits on the couch, calm, collected. Carson looks at him. Chuck, how are you so calm? Chuck's response is simple. I've had guns pointed at me before. The gun isn't what's dangerous. The person holding it is. If they're afraid, that's when it's dangerous. Bruce made sure he wasn't afraid. That was the smart move. The cameras come back on. Carson faces camera one, smile professional but strained. We're back. We just had a slight technical difficulty, but everything is fine now. Bruce, Chuck, thank you for being such professionals. The audience applauds awkwardly. Carson continues, I think we've seen enough of the weapons demonstration. How about we just talk? The rest of the segment is conversation. No more props. The energy is different, tense. The cameras captured everything. But will it air? After taping ends, the producer pulls Bruce and Chuck aside, apologetic, horrified. That should never have happened. Dennis is new. He's been suspended pending review. Bruce waves it off. Nobody was hurt. It was a misunderstanding. Train your security better. That's all. Share this with someone who needs to understand that the strongest response to danger isn't always the fastest. The footage sits in NBC archives, labeled Not for Broadcast, Security Incident 02-0973. Producers watch it during training sessions, showing what can go wrong, how professionals handle crisis, how Bruce Lee de-escalated without force. Johnny Carson mentioned it once years later, called it the scariest moment in 30 years of television. Not because of the gun, because of how close things came to going very wrong if Bruce hadn't stepped in, if Chuck had reacted instead of waiting. Dennis Walsh resigned from NBC Security 3 weeks later, went back to LAPD, worked patrol for 15 years, retired with honors. In his retirement interview, he mentioned one moment that changed how he approached threat assessment. Said he learned that sometimes the most dangerous thing is assuming you understand what you're seeing. That verification comes before action. Chuck Norris tells the story sparingly. Says the thing most people don't understand about Bruce is that his greatest skill wasn't fighting, it was preventing fights. The Tonight Show incident proved it. Bruce could have let Chuck handle it. Chuck would have disarmed Dennis in seconds, but people might have been hurt. Instead, Bruce handled it with words. That's mastery. February 9th, 1973. NBC Studios. 200 witnesses, 1 gun, 18 seconds. The night Johnny Carson learned that the scariest moments don't make good television. And Bruce Lee proved that sometimes the hardest thing to do is the simplest. Just talk. Just calm. Just understand.